Rollo was one of the most successful Vikings in history, and through him, every current European monarch is descended. This giant among men was called the Walker. He was said to have been almost 6'7" and weighed more than 308 pounds, or 140 kilograms. And because of his size, it is said he was unable to ride a horse, and so he led and conquered by foot. Rollo had heard of the vast riches that were there for the taking in West Francia, and so in 876 he seized the key town of Rouen, with the river Seine flowing through it. He continued on, and 10 years later, with one of the largest Viking fleets that had ever been assembled, he pushed on to Paris, and with others under the warlord Siegfried, laid siege. While they did not technically win, the spoils were still mighty. For years, Rollo and his men plundered through Francia. Instability and infighting amongst the Franks allowed Rollo to largely go unchecked. Rollo was able to grow his army with new recruits, and the riches continued to pour in. Until, in 911, Rollo attempted to lay siege on Paris, and then, later in the year, a place called Chatres. On July 20th, 911, they were met in battle and defeated. The Vikings had been looting and raiding the land for almost 70 years. Kings had often paid off their enemy in an attempt to quell them. But this time, the royal coffers were quite simply empty. Almost 1/3 of the money in West Francia had been stolen or given to save the land from being ravaged. The king in West Francia at the time, Charles the Simple, was at a crossroads. Rollo had been raiding since he was 15 years old. Now around 50, he was powerful, tried, true, and seasoned. Charles decided he would make a deal with Rollo. He would have to pledge allegiance to Charles and help defend the land against other Vikings, and in return, he would get land. Lots of it. Perhaps the idea of settling down tempted Rollo. There was one further caveat. Rollo and his entire army had to convert to Christianity. Rollo the Viking warrior was baptized and became Robert, Count of Rouen and the ruler of Normandy. His people and his descendants would become known as Normans. Rollo would expand his land even farther to the south. Rouen became his capital, the place he had taken so many years before. It was also the place where he was buried. Before Rollo died, he gave a significant amount of money to the church and the clergy. He also sacrificed 100 prisoners to Odin. Rollo the Walker lived a long life and could possibly have been around 60 or older when he died. He is buried in ROUEN Cathedral.